So take us to the point to where those 6 minutes are happening, and the president now knows it's heading for us, and he has to begin to make decisions. The nuclear football is always with him. Who is with the football besides the president?
The President of the United States has what is called sole presidential authority. That means he asks permission of no one to launch nuclear weapons, which he is required to do. He doesn't ask permission of the Secretary of Defense, not the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, certainly not the Congress. And so he may turn to his SecDef. He may turn to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who would almost certainly be on comms, and he may ask them, what do I do? But they are there to advise, not to instruct. It is up to the president, and that is why the decisions handbook inside the nuclear football is so important. It comes down to one man, you hope he has his marbles, and a list in front of him of counter-strike options that have been pared down by a group of individuals at the Defense Department for him to make this choice that he is being pressured to make in the next 6 minutes.
So they can advise, but they cannot make, he can't say, what should I do? Right? They're bound constitutionally not to tell him what he should do.
Yes, they cannot order him what to do, which is really remarkable.
Okay.
And so on the flip side of that, he has what's called authority, but he can and will lean on his SecDef, almost certainly. And that was conveyed to me by two secretaries of defense. They are the sage counsel. So another important thing to consider when you're considering who the president is choosing as his SecDef. But no, the responsibility is his alone.
So who stops a president that just goes nuts and says, you know what, I want to take out China today? Give me the football. Who has the authority to stop him if that would happen?
No one officially. There are stories that exist. There's a story of Richard Nixon sort of drunk in the last days of office, threatening nuclear weapons against, Southeast Asia. And there's a story of Henry Kissinger calling up the Pentagon and saying, no one take orders from the president without talking to me first. Those are stories. Wow. I didn't hear that Henry Kissinger himself. But what we do know is that this decision must be made with this incredible pressure cooker of time, and that a situation happens called jamming the president, which is when most of the military is really pressuring the president to make a decision about the number of weapons he is going to use in the counterstrike, which targets to hit. This will kill millions, if not tens of millions of people. The president can barely be aware of this because he's reading what was described as a Denny's menu-like list of options.
So is this called the Black Book of Death? Isn't that what it's called?
It is called the Decisions Handbook. Its nickname is the Black Book. And the Dr. Glenn McDuff, who's a weapons designer at Los Alamos and also the historian at the Classified Museum there, told me the reason it was called the Black Book was because it involves so much death.
And he has to look at it. And then who plays like the actuary role that when he picks everything from the menu, then in your book you describe that somebody has to now calculate how many people will die and if that crosses over into anybody's border. Who does that?
Yes, those are all decisions that are happening really fast. What we learn is that at the same time that the president has that decisions handbook, the Black Book, he's looking at with the mill aide holding it in front of him, there is an identical copy of that book at the Stratcom Bunker in Nebraska. So for listeners, really quick, there are 3 bunkers that are going to be at play. There's the military bunker beneath the Pentagon. There's one beneath Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska. That's the Stratcom Bunker, U.S. Strategic Command. And then there's the bunker inside of Cheyenne Mountain. They were referred to me as like the brain is the Cheyenne Mountain. The muscle is the Stratcom Bunker, and that what happens at the Pentagon is the beating heart of nuclear war. And those three command centers are all working together on comms to get this order from the president, because then the weapons must be launched by the Stratcom commander out of that bunker in Stratcom. And by the way, Glenn, you and I both know we're only in the first few minutes of the scenario unfolding.
I know.
This is where the decision trees start to go bananas, because you have the Secret Service with a different plan. They want to move the president out of Washington, D.C. And you have the Stratcom commander that has to get on the doomsday plane because he's got to get up into the air so that he can order further nuclear strikes as America is obliterated by incoming nuclear missiles.